Hey folks, this is Sam Roberts.
Hey, this is Kim Mitchell.
This is Hannah Georges.
This is Matt Mee.
This is Derry Graham from Honeymoon Suite, and you are listening to...
You're listening to...
And you're listening to
The Hulk Caesar Show.
Welcome to the Hulk Caesar Show. I am your host, Hulk Caesar, and joining me is our returning champion, Newfoundland songbird, the real McCoy herself, Emily Malloy. Emily, it's nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
We would be, of course, joined by the Maverick, Dickie Strickland. That was going to be Dickie's nickname this week. It was going to be the Maverick, but
that's a good one.
Dickie was unable to join us, so we'll see Dickie again next week. Dickie was filming his short film over the past couple of days that Emily was working on as well, so I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about that in the future.
Absolutely.
This week's episode is brought to you by our friends from the Resource Center of the Arts at the LSPU Hall. This weekend at the LSPU Hall, it's These Are the Songs That I Sing When I'm Sad. Jane Miller sings and tells stories about songs that play this role in her own life, and then she invites the audience to share the songs that they sing or play or listen to when they're sad. It's a rare opportunity to hear a superb singer up close and personal as she delves into the link between deep emotions and the musical elements that make sad songs so addictive. Emily, what's a sad song for you?
Oh,
I think we went over happy songs from the Hat one day and we all gave sad songs.
We all gave sad songs instead. I feel like, I don't know, maybe like Candle in the Wind.
Oh, I love I sing Candle in the Wind at least 3 times a day to some different verse of whatever's happening that's bad. It always seems to me it lived its life like a candle in the wind. Check out lspuhall.ca for ticket and showtime information. A big thank you to the Resource Center for the Arts at the LSPU Hall for supporting the local arts, including financial support for this very program. This evening, we're joined by 2 of Newfoundland and Labrador's most familiar voices, as they are the dynamic duo behind Your VOCM Mornings. First, she's a seasoned broadcaster. That's how I say we're old, Gerri.
Yeah.
And media personality with a deep passion for storytelling, community, and keeping Newfoundland and Labrador informed and entertained.
Did the AI write that?
What's that?
Did the AI write that?
Yeah, I read some of it.
Yeah. Storytelling.
You know, what do you have to say? I take up the dashes, so usually people can't tell. You know, whether it's delivering the latest news, sparking meaningful conversations, or sharing a laugh with listeners, she's built a strong connection with audiences across the province. Now her partner in crime brings decades of experience in radio, television, and journalism to the table. He's worked in Canada in a variety of media roles, including an interviewer, a producer, and a storyteller who knows how to keep listeners engaged. He has hosted everything from national programs to championing local voices, making him a perfect fit for Newfoundland's morning airwaves. Now together, they bring energy, insight, and humor to Your VOCM Mornings, making the early hours a little brighter for their audiences. Gerri Lynn Mackey and Russell Bowers, welcome to the Hulk Caesar Show.
Oh, that's amazing. It sounds like a great lineup you got tonight. I tell you. What are we doing here?
It's good to be back. I love the changes.
That's pretty big changes since the last time you were here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Moving on up.
Yeah, we're really
nice studio.
Yeah, that when you get LSPU Hall money, that's how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah, we got to get them on.
Yeah, one day.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to chat with our guests about their first year together on Your VOCM Mornings, how they got into journalism and what they think the future holds for the radio waves. Then a little later on, we'll be joined by our musical guest, Damian Follett, who's going to perform a sneak peek of his upcoming performance of Covers and Me, honoring the Tragically Hip and Bruce Springsteen live on the stage at the Majestic on Saturday, April 12th. What a stacked show we got tonight, Emily. Let's get right to it.
All right. You've both had long careers in broadcasting. Can you share how you each got started on the radio?
I started as a little kid. I thought there was something magical inside that white box on the kitchen table. And I thought, what is that? And I just saw this red light. And I thought that red light was Ron Pumphrey. And it was all very magical. And then I eventually learned that there were people inside the box. Mm-hmm. And I just became utterly enamored with the whole thing, you know? And so I was a terrible night owl back when I was in high school. And so there was a guy who used to have a show on the weekends on CBC Stereo. And his name was Ralph Ben Murgy. And I'm listening to this show one night and I'm kind of going, oh, I want to do that, you know? So I wrote him a letter and I said, how do I go about getting your job?
Oh my God, cool.
How old were you?
16.
Wow.
So he wrote me back. And he said,
these are letters, like paper letters, right?
These are paper letters.
Yeah.
There's no email back then.
Wow.
So we're talking 1986, I guess.
Yeah.
And because I grew up thinking I was going to be a comic book writer. That's what I really wanted to do.
What kind of comics did you read when you were younger?
Very first comic book I ever bought was Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man
nice.
#2.
Nice.
And you used to get 3 comic books in a pack for like 89 cents down to the arcade when that was a department store in downtown St.
right.
John's. And so I stocked up on comic books like you wouldn't believe, right? I got in so much trouble. I got $10 for my birthday one year. And I snuck behind my mother's back and bought 8 packages of these comic books. Like, you know, and I had a big stack of comic books when that was over. So, but by the time I was my last year of high school, I was thinking, you know, maybe the comic book thing isn't going to work out. So I was listening to this show Nightlines. I wrote Ralph a letter. I said, how do you go about getting a job like yours? He wrote me back and said, you know, you can go to a broadcasting school or go to a campus radio station and so forth. So I, you know, took that to heart. And then eventually I started with Mun Radio, CHMR.
That's where we started as well.
Yeah, so I did my very first on-air shift on some November weekend in 1987, and played a terrible set of music, and but got to know the business a little bit. And then about a year later, I got a job with VOCM.
Wow.
And so did my very first on-air
You
shift.
started at VOCM.
I know.
That's amazing.
So my
And now
very
you're
first.
going to end it.
Exactly. I'm going to put this thing out of business without trying. But I did my very first on-air shift on Tibbs Eve, 1988. I wasn't allowed on the air yet. I was just pushing buttons. And they're regretting that to this very day. Never let me on the air. But I did my first 3 years professionally with VOCM, and it was such a learning experience. I didn't really realize what I learned at VOCM until I was well out the door. And I spent 20-odd years at CBC, and part of the reason I spent 20 years at CBC is because I learned so many techniques at VOCM, and I spent 3 years at Oz FM as well. So all the stuff I picked up in private radio kept me employed for more than 2 decades at
Amazing.
CBC.
That's
so
deadly.
it's kind of how, you know, things, you never know, not quite sure where these things kind of lead. You just kind of get on and hang on for dear life.
Yeah, that's so
Amazing.
cool. You wrote a letter at 16.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
To Ralph Benmergui.
To Ralph Benberger.
He had a show on CBC
And he
too.
replied. That's wicked.
Right?
Ralph gave me a bit of advice because he gave me he did this one thing that a lot of people do when they're guests on shows, and they say, "Well, Hulk, may I call you Hulk?"
Of course.
You know, well, as you know, Hulk. And so I did
That's good.
I did an interview with Ralph in my first year in at Mun Radio, and so I was chuffed to bits. I'm interviewing my hero, you know.
He's famous.
And he's famous. And he said, well, Russell, as you know, which I didn't. He said, when you're interviewing musicians, he said, the worst question you can ask is, tell me about your latest album. Because you've clearly got no idea who you're talking to. And, it's you really should know who you're talking to, or at least have some idea how to engage them, Mm-hmm. So it lesson number 1, and so it was such an education there, such an education working at VO. So it's all kind of rolled along in the years ever since.
Amazing. Now, Gerri, tell me about your newest album.
I was just going to do that. I was going to be Damian. Tell us about your newest album.
I've written a few songs, actually.
How'd you get started, Gerri?
I had no aptitude, as you know. You knew me back in the day. Like, I was bumming around doing nothing for the longest time.
Spent a lot of time at the mall.
And right, yep. And my parents were like, you can't be our daughter if you don't get a degree. So I showed them I got a fine arts degree. They didn't actually say that, but it was like kind of like, well, we have degrees. Your sister is now working on number 3.
We know you're not strong with the academics, but do the math on this.
Right, exactly. You got to have at least one, Gerri Lynn. So I went and got fine arts and visual arts.
I've seen your work hung on the walls of Grenfell.
Wow. Yes, right. You sent me a picture of it. I can't believe that. Unreal.
I'm so in awe of anybody who has that kind of visual talent.
I don't. I went into performance art after. I'm not really I'm not a good painter.
You're better at it than I can't even draw a conclusion. You are just incredible.
You are a surgical illustrator. Like
Oh,
you
thank
have
you.
the eye. I have seen your work. Emily, fantastic. Like you actually have the ability to draw. I didn't have that. I was getting by on laughs. And
She's doing quite well with it, though.
when I graduated, I started working retail like most artists do.
Yeah.
Right. And like my dad was like, Gerri Lynn, why don't you like paint a picture of a dory and sell that? And I was like, oh, like Dad, I told you this the other day.
I don't know how many people say that.
I know. And I was like, Dad, I might as well be a clown banging my head against the wall. If that's what, and I don't have anything against people who do it. Right? I'm not a good drawer.
If that's your thing, but
I couldn't do it anyway, right?
Yeah.
You could do it and you could do it justice, but it'd be like, what is this thing? It looks like a triangle. And that's a dory. So
Buy it.
yeah. So I started dressing up in a clown suit and painting dories with my hair. So I'd be like banging my head against the. So this was my performance, right? And I toured the country. I went to Victoria with this. Got paid.
That's amazing.
I got paid $1,500 to do that. I painted the seat of government for 6 hours with my hair in a clown suit in Victoria.
That's amazing.
So they've all sold. Every single one of those ridiculous paintings sold.
Wow.
That's what.
Yeah. And then I got in radio. No, I didn't have. I wanted to do something, so I applied at CFCB in Corner Brook. Mm-hmm. And I went in and I applied for the road show, and they were like, yeah, no. So they said no, but they were like, we remember you. We saw you down on the Majestic line.
We saw you whipping that hair around.
Weren't you wearing a clown suit? And yeah, so they did pick me up for the afternoon drive, and the rest is history.
That's
Do you find
amazing.
it's odd though
is
how
so
the
cool.
relationship that parents have to you in terms of like what you want to do
Yes.
for your passion? Because
Big pressure.
exactly, because I mean, I thought I was going down a road that I thought I would enjoy, you know, as a job. My mother kept saying, "Why don't you get a job at Woolco? I mean, your brother
That's
works
admirable.
there, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, why are you wasting your time with this radio business, you know?" And bless her heart, until the day she died, she never called to say, "How was your day?"
Ooh, your mom.
No, she would always say, "Did you work today?"
We have the same mother.
Always the same thing. Always. Not how was you. There was no assumption that I worked. Did you work today? And then I'd have to tell her. And then, you know, and then.
It'd be a weight off her shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. Bye.
And then,
Call you tomorrow.
yeah, if I went on vacation, she'd go, "Oh, so you're not getting paid now?" Like, do I owe you money? Like, and I'd have to explain to her. It's like, you remember when Dad was a school teacher and he had 2 months off and checks kept coming? It's kind of like that for me.
Yeah.
The absolute pinnacle of this was in 2007 or 2010. So we had this rather unfortunate incident at the CBC in Calgary where some guy got into our foyer and he had a gun. And he locked himself in the foyer for about 3 hours.
I don't even know what a foyer is.
Well, it's kind of like a little, like a porch.
A big
kind of thing.
porch.
Big porch.
Fancy.
So he
A
got
foyer.
himself locked in the porch of the CBC. Now, thankfully, he was extricated safely and everyone was fine. But, you know, you got the cops surrounding the place and, you know, other media starts showing up. And so anyway, later that morning, this is Calgary time. So I call home to Newfoundland and my father answers the phone. And I said, "Look," I said, "if you happen to get a call or you hear on the news today that something happened at CBC in Calgary, everybody's fine, everyone's safe." I said, "But I'll tell you about it later on," because we were still kind of in the midst of things. So that's Saturday. Sunday. Tuesday, I'm driving around with my friend Marcus, and my mother calls, put her on speakerphone. "How you doing?" Blah, blah, blah.
Did you work today?
"Did you work today?" I said, "No, it's my day off today."
Uh-oh.
And then she said, "Did you hear what happened at the CBC in Calgary?" I said, yeah, I did. She said, "He came in with a gun." I said, "Yeah." I said, "But, you know," I said, "thankfully the cops were there and they got everything." "You were there?" Oh my God. And I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "You know, like it's." And she said, now look, I'm not a parent,
Right.
but I don't think it's unreasonable to think the next sentence out of her mouth is, "Are you okay?"
Did you miss a day's work?
No, her next thought was, "Thought you worked nights." And it's like, no, I was working early that day, and it worked out all right.
I'm in a vein in my forehead. I can't
hilarious.
believe this is videoed.
All right, we better.
So anyway, it's the joy of
good.
parenting.
That's so funny.
I love it.
All right, we better take a break here. Here's a video from the Burning Hell, who's going to be visiting St. John's on April 19th to play the Rock House. It's Bottle of Chianti cheese and charcuterie board on the Hulk Caesar Show.
Let's have a baby, let's watch a movie. The jets in the bathtub make it feel like a jacuzzi. At the farmer's market, I ran into Jason. He introduced himself like we were friends, but I couldn't place him. At the bistro with the brick and the reclaimed floor, we'll have a bottle of Chianti, cheese and charcuterie board. I bought a houseboat after the divorce. Let my gym card lapse, stop going to the golf course. I made a new friend at the marina there. She was into history and Renaissance fairs. She showed me a collection of authentic medieval swords. We had a bottle of Chianti, cheese and charcuterie board. Club in the sky, I met a long-haired former tennis pro and part-time rabbi. Back when I had eyes and skin, he said I did so many different things. There wasn't anything once that I didn't try. The doctor whispered in my ear as she cut the umbilical cord. Start with a bottle of Chianti, cheese and charcuterie board.
This is the Hulk Caesar Show, brought to you by the Resource Center for the Arts at the LSPU Hall. Check out www.lspuhall.ca for the upcoming show information. We're joined by Russell and Gerri Lynn from your VOCM Mornings.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Do you want me to take dibs?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. What's the most memorable local story you've covered that really resonated with you or the audience?
Good question. I once covered an S&M softball tournament.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
something you don't hear every day.
Very cool.
They have
No, it's softball and mittens, right?
No, but it's the worst parade of double entendres.
Go on.
And I love me wordplay, but there's only so many times you can hear "take one for the team" and distressed. I love it. I don't know about you, but I find the best interviews or the best stories are often the ones where you just kind of go, I've just been educated for the last 10 minutes or whatever it is. Like, I've just learned something about the world, or I've just learned something about myself that I didn't know I wanted to know. And sometimes in this business, Gerri Lynn, you get assigned things, right?
Right.
And they're not necessarily the story you got any interest in, but you just kind of go, okay, go talk to this guy about whatever.
Are you sure? Because I watched all the President's Men, and it didn't exactly happen like that in the movie, did it?
No, well, I mean,
Glamorous.
we're getting ready to do a pretty big expose on all the politicians. So just wait till that happens. But you get assigned things, and you kind of go, okay, fine, you do it, and so you kind of have to professionally pretend you're interested, and then halfway through the interview, you find yourself interested.
Yeah.
And you go,
Fake it till you make it.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so it's like the old Groucho Marx line, like if you can fake sincerity, you got it made. So I find that that's kind of what's interesting about this business. And Newfoundland is kind of this weird little microcosm in the whole country because, I was at a show the other night, a tribute to the Sons of Aaron and Ryan's Fancy. And it was all local content, and it was all amazing musicians. And you just got this massive lineup of incredible talent that's spanning generations. And I'm sitting there in the audience thinking, you won't see this in Regina.
No.
There won't be a tribute to Jan Arden or in Calgary. There won't be a tribute to Sarah McLachlan in Victoria, or Diana Krall in Victoria, or Sarah McLachlan in Halifax. Like, the rest of the country doesn't quite pick up its local culture the way Newfoundland does, and we kind of have that in spades. Now, it's under threat, and in this country, if it involves healthcare or a leaf on a hockey jersey, we'll go to war for it every time.
Absolutely.
But culture is a little different. And that's the thing I notice most about what we do in our business, is that it's not about covering the news every day. It's about reflecting the culture that's out there. Newfoundlanders take an interest in themselves in a way that I don't think a lot of provinces and a lot of cities do. And that's what I really cherish about working in a place like this again. Because I've spent, 20 odd years. I've spent most of my professional life in Alberta and BC. I've seen the differences. And that's what's remarkable about this place.
Gerri Lynn, you mentioned like kind of getting your stories from different sources and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, someone gives you a story, like what's next? How do you kind of get started with something like that?
Well, you share it with the newsroom. That's the first thing. And then you all kind of attack. Yeah, really. I mean, not every newsroom is like that either. Other newsrooms, you'll take ownership over your story, but VOCM, family.
Do you have like we say a newsroom? Like, is there a certain time every day everybody meets, or is it kind of ongoing all day? Or
there's different priorities because, for example, what Gerri Lynn and I do is, I guess, what's called in the business current affairs. So it's like, we're not there to tell you what the Premier said. We're there to tell you, oh, the Premier said this, but why does it matter? How does it impact your life? And what do you do with that information? It's kind of like when the interview is over, hopefully the audience has some decision to make. Do I care about this? Do I not care about this? Should I write a letter? Should I send an email? Should I post online? What's the decision that needs to be made? Should I go buy the tickets to that show? Should I make sure I get that CD or pick up that music or go to that show, that kind of stuff? So that's kind of what myself and Gerri Lynn are doing. Like, we take...
And crime and fire.
And crime and fire. Because the news...
Fire.
Love crime and fire. I love it.
Like, you've had Richard Duggan on the show, right?
We have, yeah.
So Richard is news,
And
right?
Sarah. Sarah's been on as well.
And Sarah's, they're news. So at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, Sarah and Richard will say, here's what happened. Here's the new information that we have. And then it's Gerri Lynn and my job to take that information and kind of go, so why does that matter now?
Make it thought-provoking for the audience, for sure.
Yeah.
Cry. Yeah. Sure. You do cry.
You do a great job.
I don't know.
We're more evening bubble gum.
Yeah.
I often say that you kind of...
still.
It's so sweet.
I think you kind of age into what VOCM does. I mean, I've worked for CBC for many years, and it's like, you kind of age into what they do.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be interested in the minutia of municipal tax law, when you're in your 20s, and something's wrong with you if you are. But, but by the time you're paying mortgages and property taxes in your 40s and so forth, it's the sort of thing you care more about.
Oh, man. I was on the House of Commons website last night.
Ooh.
Well, trying to fall asleep, but still I was reading it.
I thought you meant you were on their website. I was like, what did you get on their website?
No.
You're getting older. That's a sign you're getting older.
That I know. I had that epiphany whilst I was on it.
You're becoming responsible.
Yeah, I'm a buzzkill.
It's different.
You guys have a lot of kind of guests on your show as well, right? Do you guys get your own guests, or do kind of guests get set up for you?
All the above.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my coworkers did a tally one day, and she figured at this point in my career, I've talked to about 15,000 people.
Wow.
And, it's a lot of people and it's like a factory, right? Like, I don't know if Gerri Lynn feels this way, but like, you barely remember what was on the show when you're done. You just kind of, because you're on to the next show. You're forever living in tomorrow.
Yeah, you never linger. You never linger in radio. You don't look back. That's what they say. Never look back.
Yeah.
I asked somebody if I could book them on my show a couple of days ago, and they said, I'm booked on your show in 3 weeks.
Right?
Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind. I asked that. Only moving forward.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like a factory. You're just eating up stories and chewing them out and moving on to the next thing. And sometimes in a lot of cases, you're thinking about the story today, but then you're also thinking, well, what's this story going to be tomorrow? Like, we know that this plant wants to go into Lewisport, but that's what people are proposing. But next week, what's the story? So you kind of have that in the back of your mind too.
Who's someone in Newfoundland that's really hard to get interview? Like who could we get interview with that you guys be like, ooh, they got that person?
I find the
Quinlan Seafood.
Oh.
Quinlan.
Yeah, I grew up next door to the Quinlans in Oberligan.
Can you connect me?
Maybe.
the current fisheries minister, Jerry Byrne, he never wants to talk.
very difficult.
Yeah, very
Really?
Really, eh?
Very difficult.
No, he'll meet you. He'll meet us here. That's true.
You sort
Call
of
him right now. We could get him on, and he would join us,
he would,
which is great. Like you want that in the people that you're.
Of course.
yeah, because
Elusive, you don't-
not everyone embraces the idea of accountability, because
Yep.
but some people do.
It's over there cracking up.
That's a really nice way to put that.
Right. Very diplomatic.
Because there's a movie, Grosse Point Blank.
One of my favorites.
And so John Cusack has a great line in that movie talking about being a hitman. And, he says to a guy he's about to kill, like, if I show up at your door, you must have done something to bring me there. Journalism is a bit like that.
Sure is.
Right? Yeah. If we're calling, sometimes it isn't necessarily for good reasons. And a lot of that is because
That's why people hate us.
sometimes I think what it is basically is news represents
why.
change.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
And most people don't have a positive reaction to change.
Yeah.
Something's going to change. Like, am I going to have to pay more taxes? Is there going to be a building next to me that I don't want? Is there
Because
a
Miss is
road-
going to start parking her car on my street now.
right.
Yeah, exactly. Is this road ever going to get fixed? All those kinds
I don't
of
want
things.
that wharf.
I don't
and
want
so on.
Yeah, so on.
Yep.
So it's sort of inevitable that what you talk about is greeted negatively
Yeah.
by people, and it's not necessarily because it is a negative story, but because you can't get unanimity on anything.
No.
Right? So it's very rare that we have some, and so that's kind of why we represent. People say, why aren't there enough good stories? Well, you can't really go on the radio. Well, no car crashes in the last hour. So
Not in this city anyway.
Taxes are going down. What else is good? Yeah.
I have as you know, I have a very bottomless pit of trivia in my head. It's blocking out things that I should know. But one of my favorite trivia questions of all time is, what happened to every 8-year-old girl in Sweden in 1994?
No idea.
God.
I think I've told you this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Any idea?
No.
They all had to cut their hair.
Is base.
I'm going to guess. It's the nicest thing I can think.
They all had a 9th birthday. Now,
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that they didn't have to cut their hair.
It's a given.
Now, why is that significant? Because it is a statistical anomaly. Not one 8-year-old girl died
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh, wow.
in 1994. Because when you think about it, people die at every age,
Yeah.
right? And so
That's crazy.
that particular year. So, I mean, this is a sort of an example. How do you go on the news and say, well, no, 8-year-old girls died this year, so let's carry on about our lives. But that, but if you have someone who is 8 who does pass, and whatever the reason is, you pass on that information. And we have this weird thing, too, with media. We used to have cable TV from Bangor, Maine,
Mhm. Oh, do we ever?
right? And nothing happened in Bangor, Maine. Nothing. Like if you go to Bangor, Maine, they'll say this.
Like that was where the feed came from.
Yeah, that's where
That was the
our
location.
NBC, CBS,
Boring.
right? Like even they deny it exists. So then suddenly we switched to Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit, WDIV.
Right?
Stand up.
And Detroit in the 1990s was just the absolute epicenter of murder and mayhem.
RoboCop shit.
Right? And Elliot Layton had done a study about this up at MUN. And so what they found was Newfoundlanders thought that the murder rate in Newfoundland and St. John's was going through the roof.
Yep.
Like there were murders on every corner. You couldn't
Seriously.
walk down Holloway without somebody murdering you, right? And the murder rate had gone down from 1.2 a year to 0.8 per year over this stretch of time.
Oh my
but Newfoundlanders, because they were hearing about all these murders over and over, thought they were all over the place, but they were all happening in Detroit.
So then they switched it back to Maine.
And then,
No, they didn't.
then they moved on to Spokane, and everything got better.
We used to get that Detroit like WDIV and the ABC,
Yep.
and it was like watching RoboCop. It was like the news on RoboCop was very similar to the news on WDIV.
Yeah, it's sort of.
You remember the call sign.
Right?
Yeah. WXYZ, WDIV. I can't remember what the other one was.
I can't remember them.
Yeah,
Wow.
WCBS or whatever. but again, it's how things kind of shape who we are and what we think about ourselves. And I was coming over here when I was thinking about this today. When I was a kid, you had all kinds of. We only had 2 channels, but there was always something to watch. And you had all kinds of local content. We had local talk shows for ourselves. We had local sitcoms for ourselves, music shows for ourselves, not necessarily made for Sweden and other places, made for us. And one of my favorites that I used to watch was Kmart Day at the Races.
He wanted to bring this up.
I wanted to bring Now, Damon, you and I are Damian Follett, who's with us, we're about the same age. So this used to come on CJON, I think around 5 o'clock, just before the main news, right? And it was hosted by Dave Monder. So here was the premise. So there was a racetrack, I think. Damien remembers. So there was a racetrack. I think it was out in Torbay or close to that. And it was sponsored by Kmart, the department store. Yep. And the premise was you rode in and you wanted to be somebody who bet on a race. So Dave Monder would take your name and put it next to a horse's name, right? So it's like, here's Mabel from Placentia. And okay, Mabel, you're betting on this horse, Hoof-Hearted. And so there you go. And so then to go down the list and then that's fine. So Dave Monder would list out these 8 horses and there was like one of those horse and trolley kind of things, right? Yeah. So there wasn't a rider on the horse. He was on like a little cart, and was tied to the back of a horse, and the horses would race. And this was TV. This was TV in Newfoundland.
It was being filmed in Newfoundland?
It was all made here.
Film,
It was on
shot.
It was on NTV
Broadcast.
I don't remember if it was weekly or daily, but you had live horse racing with
But they weren't real horses.
They were real horses.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I missed that.
And people would send in their name, and so they'd be randomly attached to a horse, and whichever horse won, Mabel from Placentia would win a gift card to Kmart or whatever it was.
No way.
Look how ahead of the times we were. Now everyone does sports gambling on television, but we were doing it back in the 80s.
No, this is the 70s.
70s.
Yeah. Right? And another big one for me was...
that was a big one.
That was a big one.
That was a big one.
Was the Cream of the West Christmas sing-along.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yes. Damien remembers.
Damien's giving the thumbs up.
So Bob Lewis was the main anchor on CJON at the time, and Mary West was kind of like a local cooking person.
Cream of the West flour.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
And
Always
so
the
Cream of the
best.
West Christmas sing-along would involve all these little kids coming into the NTV studios up in Buckmaster Circle, and they'd have a little Christmas sing-along, and then you could have a bunch of kids who can't, all tone deaf singing Joy to the World or whatever it is.
Emotional. I'm getting emotional. I can't watch children sing.
And I
can't.
would get so confused, though, because they always gave away these Christmas hampers.
Wells up.
Right? That was the big thing, to give away a Christmas hamper.
I used to wonder about the Christmas hampers myself when I was younger.
And the only hamper I knew of at the time was the one that was in our bathroom
Dirty
where
clothes.
we put laundry.
Yeah.
So I said, why are they giving away hampers of dirty laundry? I couldn't figure that out. Could not
terrible.
put that into my head.
Couldn't get that.
Right? And then it's like, oh, there's food in it? Well, you're putting food in with dirty laundry? So this was the thing that, everyone was on about. And it's like, you just don't see that anymore under any circumstances. But if there's anything the Hulk Caesar show wants to do,
Bring that back.
as the
Yeah.
Christmas, the Cream of the West or Five Roses or whatever it is,
should.
find a bag
like
of
that.
flour.
Give away a hamper.
Absolutely.
Give away a hamper.
Give away a hamper. A
But
Christmas hamper.
it'll
with a
be
bow on
dirty
it.
clothes.
Full of dirty.
Yeah, with some dirty clothes and a turkey.
Couple beer.
Yeah. And
I don't know what you big media people do, but I don't have the kind of clothes that I can just throw in a hammer and give to people.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, true.
No.
well, get donations. Get donations. And then, because all I can tell you is that if there's flour and a hamper involved, children will follow.
They will sing.
And they will sing.
And I'm not going because I will cry.
You must experience over Christmas. Someone in your position must watch children sing 6 weeks in a row.
I refuse those events. I do. There was one year at the Valley Mall in Corner Brook that they were opening up the gingerbread house, and they said, "Can you go down?" I said, "I honestly can't," because I had worked retail in that mall.
can't do it.
And I knew that this event made me bawl.
So if
I
there's
was
one...
standing up there because I was in the children's choirs, right?
So if there's
And I
one
used to watch
takeaway,
people cry and be like,
absolutely.
they're weird. And now I'm afflicted with it.
Yeah.
Can't. The innocence it gets me.
If there's one takeaway this evening that I want all the Hulk Caesar listeners to go away with
All 12 of them.
all 12 of them, is that you must know that Gerri Lynn Mackey hates Christmas and children.
And children.
I can't. It makes me cry.
You heard
no,
it
I don't
first.
hate it.
That's kind of the
It's
official
very
position of the show,
emotional.
actually.
Absolutely.
That, and of course, that there ain't no rule that says a dog can't play basketball.
It's our motto.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I speak for all of VOCM when we say,
Yep. We don't like watching children sing. That's not true.
That's going on the soundboard.
I like it, but I can't be working and doing it.
No.
I got to be in my private space.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sunglasses, nobody paying
Right.
attention. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
Incognito.
upsetting. It's like Sarah McLachlan, like, in the SPCA.
Right.
Just, yeah.
Yes.
It's too
Oh,
much.
that was so sad. I
That was a
remember
sad commercial.
That commercial.
I just feel awful that Sarah McLachlan now has written a song where everyone goes, oh God, who died now?
Yeah.
Like,
Really.
What song?
though. Arms of an
I
Angel.
will.
Oh, that is.
Oh, I will
I
remember
will
you.
remember you.
Yeah, there's
She wrote
two.
How many in memoriams have that in the background?
That was our freaking grad song.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, we wanted "Stand by Me" by Pennywise, but
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
got it.
Mine was Trooper. Here for a good time. Yeah. No,
Not
I
a
didn't
long
like that.
time. Some of the people
Yeah.
in your school probably were there for a long time.
Yeah, and that was Gonzaga. And then Holy Heart's grad song was much better because the year I graduated, we were all born in 79, and their grad song was 1979
Yeah,
by the Pumpkins,
I always felt
which
like
was
people after
excellent.
us would have had that song.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't
so
seem
I went
fair.
to their grad.
Our class
Yeah.
had terrible taste in music and couldn't decide anything, so our teachers decided that we were going to have the
Go
greatest,
tell it on the mountain.
the greatest love of all by Whitney Houston.
That's a beautiful
bad.
song.
That's what that
great.
was our grand march.
I think the
And,
slow song was Boyz II Men. What was yours?
Faithfully by Journey.
Oh, yeah.
First song I ever slow danced to.
That's great. Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. With the
That-
teacher. Was it with the teacher?
No, school secretary.
I knew it.
School
I knew it
secretary.
was an admin.
Yeah.
Mine was 100
Hey,
years.
it was a player.
It's a sad song. It's like about living to 100 and then dying.
Saddest song. You were talking about saddest song.
Journey?
Yeah.
Okay, the saddest song. It's an epic saddest song. Like if you've just broken up with somebody and you want to listen to something that will make you feel worse and better.
Yeah.
John Grant, Baby, You're Where Dreams Go to Die.
Oh, my
Boy.
It has
Heavy.
the best lyrics. And
I gotta look that up.
go find it.
Imagine children singing it.
But imagine singing Baby, You're Where Dreams Go to Die. And
I've never heard of that.
John Grant does an amazing job of it. It's just him and a piano, and you just kind of go, I've gone out with that woman at least 7 times.
Russell single. Are you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who's the guy
I
that
just wanted to
sings
update to make
that
sure.
song where it's like there's a hole in Daddy's arm where all the money goes? that's the
Jump right.
saddest song. That's the saddest song ever written.
Oh boy, it reminds
That
me of
just came to my
Flatliners.
head.
And Flatliners when she goes up the top of the stairs and her dad's doing heroin in the bathroom. Boy, that's a
that
tough
takes
scene.
the cake.
Imagine
All right.
children singing.
I suppose. Right?
Wow.
Isn't that
Wow.
dark? It's the saddest song ever. Yeah.
Sweating.
Wow.
Actually, my mother used to say all the time, oh, what a crowd he died for.
That's
Yeah.
wicked.
That's amazing.
That's so good.
All right, well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and get a little bit of music from our musical guest, Damian Follett. It's now time in the Hulk Caesar Show for a live musical performance in our Hot for the Moment studios high above Posey Row in downtown St. John's, Newfoundland. Tonight's musical guest is a cherished singer-songwriter from Newfoundland, renowned for his engaging performances. With a career spanning nearly 4 decades, he's become a central figure in the vibrant St. John's music scene. Damian Follett, thank you for joining us on the Hulk Caesar Show.
Good to see you, man.
What do you have for us first?
I'm going to do a brand new original song called Just a Dog.
Amazing.
Yeah, tribute to dogs.
Love it.
I got 15 years of friendship. It was 100 years for him. He stood right there by my side. He was there through thick and thin. There was no one else quite like him. And there probably won't ever be again. Yeah, I'm sure gonna miss my buddy. It's gonna be hard to find a new friend. But he wasn't just a dog. He was my best friend. He never let me down. stayed true till the end. I wish I had 100 more and they were all just like him. He wasn't just a dog, he was my best friend. Some folks say just move on, go out and get another one. Yeah, there's plenty down at the shelter. Some are old and some are young. You can even find them online. That's what floats your boat. Before you know it, you forget about him, and those memories are gonna go. But he wasn't just a dog, he was my best friend. He never let me down, stayed true till the end. I wish I had 100 more and they were all just like him. 'Cause he wasn't just a dog, he was my best friend. Yeah, someday when I pass on and I'm over on the other side, I'll be looking for a field or a meadow with a warm breeze blowing by. Coming fast over that horizon, ears flying in the wind. I'll smile when he runs to me and I see him again. But he wasn't just a dog, he was my best friend. He never let me down, stayed true till the end. I wish I had 100 more and they were all just like him. He wasn't just a dog, he was my best friend. Yeah, I wish I had 100 more and they were all just like him. 'Cause he wasn't just a dog, he was my best friend.
That's so awesome.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
That's beautiful.
Put the mic in maybe a bit closer there when we're talking. 'Cause it's,
Put it in here.
yeah. You want it there? Perfect.
Okay.
A
Excellent.
little cry.
That's amazing. Such a great song. Now, is that about a particular dog?
Two friends of ours, myself and my girlfriend Brenda, two friends of ours lost their dog around the same time, and they told us a story about the dogs and how much they meant to them. And of course, we're all I don't know, dog people. Most people are dog people.
Yeah.
And I've had dogs over the years that passed, and I just sat down. As soon as they told me the story, I wrote the song in about 15 minutes and sent it to them, and they were very appreciative.
Amazing. So good.
Beautiful. Like bald. All right. You've been a part of Newfoundland's music scene for quite some time, as long as I can remember. What first inspired you to pick up a guitar and start writing songs?
My brother had Kiss records back. It's funny. My older brothers told me the story recently. I didn't know this. I started playing guitar when I was about 8 or 9. I don't really remember that, but they said I picked it up and started learning chords when I was 8 or 9. But I never took it seriously till I was 13 or 14, and that's when I discovered the Kiss records. Oh. And I was like, I want to do that.
We've had a lot of people come through the show who said Kiss was a big part of where they kind of switched that.
And I mean, I just at the time I was like, I'm going to just play music. I didn't know it was going to become a career for 40 years, but here we are.
What else did you kind of listen to growing up?
What did I do growing up?
What would you listen to growing up?
Oh, they had all the classic records like the Stones, Styx, John Denver, all the singer-songwriters, Bob Seger, Petty, all that stuff. But also, two of the biggest influences were Elvis and Harry Hibbs.
Oh, wow.
Because my dad had both those records. He used to listen to both them,
Yeah.
the old Elvis records and Harry Hibbs. And I didn't realize at the time, I thought, geez, these guys are like famous. But then he explained that Harry was from Belle Island. So that really intrigued me.
Oh, wow.
I was like, okay, he can get on a record. I'm getting on a record.
Amazing.
Had no idea how I was going to do it.
First record I ever owned was Harry Hibbs. First
Wow.
record I got for like my 8th birthday, I think,
See?
because I grew up on Belle Island.
Yeah.
And so there used to be a department store there, Charlie Cohn's and Son. So when I turned 8, my parents let me go into the record shop or the record section and pick up my own record.
Right.
So I got Harry Hibbs at the Caribou Club, which was his first.
Yes, yeah.
And I flipped it over, and right on the back it says he's from Belle Island.
Yeah.
So that had a pretty amazing,
Yeah.
profound impact, right? Because
Absolutely.
he's from Belle Island, he's from Newfoundland. And I guess early on, like I had this impression, and you probably got this too, Damian, because you can be from here and have an impact in the world.
You can.
You know, because I mean, that's not something that, you know, I again, it just speaks to what is sort of unique and interesting about this place, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You and I met in 1989. And I don't remember if your band was still called Riff Raff at the time or if you had changed to Rogues Gallery.
At that point, it probably would have been Rogues, I think.
Yeah, because you had this one song. It was called Riff Raff on the Airwaves.
Yes, we did.
Riff Raff on the Airwaves.
God,
Listen to the hits they play.
Wow.
And there was a huge... I know.
Blocking out important.
You have a straight line. Wow.
There was a big thing in 1989 called Star Search, and it was held down at the old Cornerstone when it was the big dance club, right? And Rogues Gallery were on that bill. Young Saints, which went on to a big record deal with Warner. But the band that won it was the Thomas Trio and the Red Albino.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
And so I remember I was sort of still starting out in the business, and I was going down to every night for the Star Search and recording the bands and putting together like a radio special from on radio.
Cool.
And I still have the recordings. I'll have to send you one. But it's incredible what you guys were doing at the time, because you just saw so much hope and so much inspiration, and like to see you still playing after all these years.
Yeah.
And, you know, we talked to each other, and like I've been gone for a long time, and Damian, you know, he's risen from the ashes of the Placentia Mafia, and he's, you know, and still doing it and still writing
What's
great songs.
this Placentia Mafia we keep hearing about?
That?
Well, yeah, that's but it's funny. I was talking to my brothers about that today, and thinking, wow, I'm this age now. I'm 63 and proud of it. But like I'm still able to get up on stage and perform at the almost at the level that I did 30 years ago. I still have the passion and the fire for it.
And yet your voice hasn't changed. Like
I'm very lucky because a lot lot of times things do change.
Yeah.
As you know,
Because
you lose a lot.
Yeah.
Like your hair.
That's gone anyway. But that's fine.
But that was gone in
That was gone in
1989,
1989.
Damian.
Yeah, mine's been gone quite a long time too.
But it's true. Like my voice, I'm so lucky. I can still, because we're doing the show coming up on the April 12th, and Bruce Springsteen is a part of it. And you better be kicking some ass if you're going to be singing some Bruce. And we rehearsed last week, and it's coming to life.
Well, mention that, Damian. Now, you said you're going to be presenting Covers and Me, honoring the Tragically Hip and Bruce Springsteen live at the Majestic on Saturday, April the 12th. Before we chat about it, can you give our watchers a little taste of what they can expect?
Absolutely.
Woohoo.
I guess we'll do a hip song first.
Amazing.
Sundown in the Paris of the prairies, we kings of all treasures buried, and all you hear are the rustic breezes pushing around the weather vane Jesus. In a Zippo lighter he sees the killer's face. Maybe it's someone standing in the killer's place. 20 years for nothing, well that's nothing new. And besides, no one's interested in something you didn't do. We kings and pretty things, let's just see what tomorrow brings. It's a dream he dreams where the high school is dead and stark. It's a museum and we're all locked up in it after dark, where the walls are lined all yellow, gray, and sinister, hung with pictures of our parents' prime ministers. We kings and pretty things, wait and see what tomorrow brings. Late breaking story on the CBC. The nation whispers, hey, we always knew that he'd go free. Ah, you can't be fond of living in the past. 'Cause if you are, there's no way that you're gonna last. We kings and those pretty things. Let's just see what tomorrow brings. We kings and those pretty things. Wait and see what tomorrow brings.
Amazing.
So good.
That's so good.
So amazing.
So good.
Wow.
All right. Your upcoming show, Covers and Me, honoring the tragically hip and Bruce Springsteen, is coming up at the Majestic Theater on Saturday, April 12th. Why did you choose to honor the hip and Springsteen?
Because Gord Downie and Bruce Springsteen, in all seriousness, to me, are my favorite two live performers because of the passion they always brought to the performance. I ask advice from younger musicians, and I always say the same two things: show up and deliver. There's no difference in any job. If you show up and deliver, you're going to get the good gigs, and that's what Bruce is. The boss. He's intense, and same with Gord. And I mean the songs. So they just and something. I don't know if I should mention this or not, but I will. We got some radio people here, so they can chime in if they want. But I think having one of the greatest Canadian bands of all time, and one of the greatest American bands as well, in Bruce and the E Street Band, coming together for this show, I think the symbolism won't escape everybody. No. I want that night to be a unifying night of music and joy and all of the power of music. So,
Damon, do you remember seeing the hip at the Thompson Student Center in 1992?
Wow.
Yes.
I remember I was working at Oz FM at the time, and so it was my job to go and introduce the band. So I was hanging around a little bit backstage, right? And the guys weren't the friendliest guys in the world, but I ended up in a very short conversation with Gord Downie. And so he was very nice, but my favorite song of the hip at the time was something called The Last American Exit. It was on their first album.
Yeah.
And I just sort of casually say to Gord, I said, hey, do you guys still do Last American Exit? He goes, yeah. He said, we used to. He said, but we heard the Sky Diggers doing it. And they do it much better, so we stopped.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
But it's Bruce Springsteen wrote one of the great American protest songs of the 1980s.
Ghost Town Go, Jode?
Born in the USA.
Yes, there you go. That.
Now, it's not your quintessential folk song.
Right.
But like the Reagan re-election campaign, I think in 85, 84, tried to use it as their rally song.
Kind of missed the point there.
And they completely missed the point. And, if you go in and you listen to some of his songs, especially like that, like you hear just the essence of America. That's what's so great. And I think that's what Gord captured too, right? And
absolutely.
all the guys in the hip.
Absolutely.
Like I was trying to do this thing once about, anybody here, you're familiar with the group 7, right? And I kept thinking, who would be the musical group of 7? Like the group of 7 painted this country and gave us images of this country that we still have. Like
The magnificent group of 7, yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Who would be the musical group of 7? Like who would be on that list? Like to me, it's Gord. To me, it's Gordon Lightfoot. To me, it's Bruce Coburn.
Yes.
You can Joni. Like who paints that picture of Canada in words, right? So it's for anyone who's gonna go to this show, I think that's what they're gonna pick up on, and you're just the guy to deliver it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Damien, who's going to be joining you on stage for the event on April 12th?
We have for the hip, we have a 5-piece band. We have Des and Gary Gammon, part of the Placentia Mafia,
Yeah.
Music Mafia. Two great guitar players in their own right.
I got to get Mike Heffernan to write a book on this Placentia Mafia.
Right? Oh, no.
Des was in Rogues Gallery too.
Des was in Rogues Gallery. He's the original guitar player in Rogues Gallery. Yeah. So Des and Gary are on lead guitar, Jordan Peckham on bass, and Dan George, younger guy here in town, on drums. Dan's a machine. And then we're having DJ Lex Griffiths join us on keyboards for the Bruce set.
No way.
And I mean, listen, Springsteen has 15 people on stage. We're not trying to copy everything that these bands.
Are you going to do the?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
But it's all about, to me, it's interpreting the music that means so much to us in our own way.
Yeah.
And I mean, with Gord, I mean, I've always, I've been playing Gord songs and Bruce songs for forever. And you know what's funny? At the rehearsal, I found out some really interesting musical information. I've been playing a lot of the songs wrong. My guitar players were like, Dame, that's not an F sharp, that's a D. That's an A, not an A flat. Oh, I didn't, and nobody knew over the years. Because I mean, people are drinking in clubs.
Yeah, of course.
You're awesome. Everything's great. So the other night, I learned how to play the songs correctly.
Amazing.
Yeah. There's a couple that I do like that.
Just in time, exactly for the show.
Sometimes
that
I'll play some.
happened to Elton John.
Oh yeah.
In 1975. His musical hero was Leon Russell, and they did an album together a few years ago. And so he finally got to talk to Leon Russell a little bit, and like Leon Russell is the guy that Elton learned his piano playing from and stuff. And so they're just chatting away backstage at something, and then Leon very casually leans over and goes, "You know you write too high for yourself, don't you?" And and if you listen to everything after 1975,
Much lower.
it all changes.
Amazing how one thing, someone says one thing and really
Absolutely.
Yep.
clue it in.
Like you can spot the difference. Like this is what he was singing like before 1975.
Right.
This is what he sounds like after 1975, and it's a conversation with Leon Russell.
Amazing.
So cool.
All right. Well, thanks to our friends at the Resource Center for the Arts at the LSPU Hall. We have time for one more song from our guest, Damian Follett. Damian, can you give us another preview of the big show on April 12th?
All right, I'm going to finish up with one of the great songs from Bruce, Atlantic City.
Love it.
And I'll tell everybody the version we're doing at the show is the live version from the 90s. I think the mid-90s, he was on MTV Unplugged. And that version to me is just so powerful. We used to play it in Rogues Gallery, and people would be just staring at the stage. It was the only time on Lake that all the drunk people actually stared at us. It was just
amazing.
So anyway, I'll do the acoustic version here. Well, they blew up the Chicken Man in Philly last night. They blew up his house too. On the boardwalk, they're getting ready for a hell of a fight. We're gonna see what those racket boys can do. Now there's trouble busting in from out of state, and the DA can't get no relief. There's gonna be a rumble out on the promenade, and the gambling commission's hanging on by the skin of its teeth. Everything dies, baby, that's a fact. Now maybe everything that dies someday comes back. Put your makeup on, fix your hair up, meet me tonight in Atlantic City. Well, I got a job and I tried to put my money away, but I had it said no honest man could pay. So I drew what I had from the Central Trust, and I bought me and my baby 2 tickets on that Coast City bus. Everything dies, baby, that's a fact. And maybe everything that dies one day comes back. So put your makeup on and fix your hair up real pretty. You gotta meet me tonight in Atlantic City. Well, now, love may have died and love may be cold, but with you forever I'll stay. I'm going out where the sand's turning to gold. Put your stockings on, baby, 'cause the nights get cold. Baby, everything dies, yeah, that's a fact. And maybe everything that dies someday comes back. Well, I've been looking for a job, but it's hard to find. 'Cause down here there's just winners and losers that don't get caught on the wrong side of their line. Well, I'm tired of coming out on the losing end. So honey, last night I met this guy. And I'm gonna do a little favor for him, cause everything dies, baby, that's a fact. And maybe everything that dies one day comes back. Put your makeup on, fix your hair up pretty. Come on, meet me tonight in Atlantic City. Meet me tonight in Atlantic City. Won't you meet me tonight in Atlantic City? Yeah.
That's so good.
Love a strong outro.
Wicked.
Amazing. Damian Follett, thank you so much for joining us. Where can folks find more information about your comings and goings on the internets?
First of all, tickets are available at majestictheaterhill.com for the show on April 12th. Social media, mostly social media. And I have to tell people, my music page, Damian Follett, is kind of confusing. So go to my girlfriend's page, Brenda Power. Much easier to use. Thanks, guys.
Amazing.
All right. It's now time to play everyone's favorite game of questions. I just blocked my face with these. I keep forgetting we're a video show now. All right. So, Caesar's Casual Conversations with tonight's guests, Russell Bowers, Gerri Lynn Mackey, and Damian Follett. All the remaining questions are in the commemorative E.T. the Extraterrestrial hat. Ooh. Choose one and answer it as much as you'd like, or ask to draw another one.
We're running out of questions here now. We had this hat full of questions at one point.
So
I printed them all. I printed them all up, and then I got blackout drunk and cut them all up, and put them in the hat. So I had no idea what the questions were.
All right.
So here you go, Russell.
All right. Well, I don't know. I don't promise answers. I only promise responses.
That's the best we can ask for.
What's a strange phobia you have?
Ooh.
I have an eating disorder called ARFID, avoidance restrictive food intake disorder, and it started when I was about 10 years old. And so I can't eat certain things. It started with mushrooms I can't get to at all. And,
Really?
I had a long-standing fear of tomatoes for a while. But so did the French, so that doesn't. The French wouldn't eat tomatoes for centuries because they thought it was poisonous.
Cheese-eating surrender monkeys.
I know. So I get very phobic around food if I can't control what it is or who made it or anything. There's restaurants that I'm very comfortable in and other but it's like when I walk into a McDonald's, there's only two things on the menu I can eat. Because everything else is off the. I've never had a McDonald's hamburger.
He's never had pizza.
Wow.
Oh, I had a pizza once.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I've had a pizza once.
Yeah, all right.
But I made it
one
myself.
Time. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. So as phobias go, it's not a great one, but
Wow.
it
makes you who you are. That's cool.
Yeah, that's not.
He
a good
loves
thing.
candy. He loves candy. I love that about you. I don't know why. I do.
But yeah, basically what it's sort of something that starts with usually starts with something that happens when you're a kid, and then it kind of gets reinforced, and you kind of get stuck eating the same thing for day in and day out. So it's improved over the years, not much, but it's just a weird little phobia of mine.
Cool.
It just kind of still sticks with me.
So what's your favorite thing to eat? I want to know, what's your favorite meal?
The go-to.
My very favorite thing is stale cheesies. If you get a bag of
and they got that kind of styrofoamy feel to them. I like that
and
too.
you leave them in a bowl for about a week or
Yeah.
so, especially in a place like this where there's lots of humidity. They're fantastic. I actually went to the factory in Belleville, and I said, I went in and I talked to one of the managers, and I said, "Do you know?
Are you Ralph Benmergui?"
I said, "Do you guys know what happens to your cheeses when they interact with humidity?" And because Hawkins cheeses has been around for 75 years, they've only ever had one flavor change. They had a nacho cheese flavor for a while. It died a death. And what I love about Hawkins is they make one thing. That's it. They just make that. They're not part of a conglomerate. They make Hawkins cheesies and nothing else.
We tried to become the official show of Hawkins cheesies, but they wouldn't have anything to do
They
with
wouldn't
us.
diversify.
Well, I said to them, I said, "Do you guys have any idea as to how good your product gets when humidity gets at it?" And they said, "Oh, we'll take that under advisement." But they clearly like aged Hawkins cheesies. How good would that be?
Aged cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
Quick phobia. Any quick phobia? Not really.
Claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Caves.
Yeah.
No. Scuba diving, never.
Heights.
Heights? Yeah, I don't like heights either.
Definitely claustrophobic,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I don't like big things. I
Or
don't like big
bugs.
buildings, 9/11, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Afraid of 9/11.
Really
But yeah, I
scared.
can't stop watching it again and again. Here, Lynn.
And I even answered Russell's question. I'm not scared of anything. I cannot see this at all. Not even close. Like, what's going on here? Don't know.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
what's your go-to karaoke song?
Ooh.
T-Rex.
Ooh,
Easily.
wow.
T-Rex.
Bang a
Bang
gong.
a gong.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah, that's my number one. I love it. I'll do it now.
it.
No. You know, it starts with like the hip movement.
Yeah.
and- yeah.
I like it.
Love it.
See, Damian, for you, like
You
you
could
don't
sing
need, you don't
anything.
need the backing track because you just got the guitar, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
You're your own karaoke machine.
People don't like when musicians do
Exactly.
karaoke.
Like,
Like
you can't take a turn.
it's,
you're good.
Yeah.
You're
it's
not
o-
loud.
It's
Part of the
only
party.
That's something no one's ever said to me at karaoke. You're
or,
good.
or if you do, everybody's just like, "Oh, Emily's
Yeah, you're
getting
gonna
up and
win.
saying, okay, wicked, okay,
Ruin
we're
for
having
everyone.
fun,
I
but
love doing country roads at karaoke because
Yeah.
everybody sings.
Yeah.
It.
Nice.
You're
Yeah,
just there
yeah.
to show.
True.
up.
Excellent.
You want to be the
Good.
center of attention.
First time I did karaoke was in San Francisco in 2010, and I went into the bathroom to practice my song because I was so nervous. Then I realized no one was looking at the stage, so I got up and did "Every Day I Write the Book" by Elvis Costello.
Oh, wow.
my God.
But my go-to karaoke song, because I can't sing, is "Tequila."
Oh, of course.
nice.
Tequila.
I did. I'll tell you this one. I did get a standing ovation in Nashville when I went to a karaoke bar with my friends, and I sang "Born to Run" by Springsteen.
There you go.
Nailed it, did all the moves, and got a standing ovation.
Nice.
And let
There
me
you
guess,
go.
you're not doing it at the show at the Majestic, right?
The dance
What's yours,
moves.
Hulk?
Islands in the Stream, you know.
Yes.
You know,
Oh my
you know I got
God.
a few drinks in me when I drag someone up to do Islands in the Stream with me.
I love
Oh
it.
wow.
Emily?
Or The Gambler.
Yeah, that's
If I don't know, probably something by Celine Dion or the Spice Girls. Yeah.
There you go.
Just to keep
that
the morale high.
poor missing Spice Girl show we're supposed to get this summer with
I
Emily as a Spice Girl. Now
know.
it's gone to the wind.
Now I don't have to keep my hair dark.
I'm gonna bring
anymore.
you. I'm gonna bring Damien over you.
Which
I got to take a question too.
Yeah, of course.
which
I'm going
Spice
to get
Girl?
someone to read it because I don't think.
I was gonna be Sporty Spice.
Excellent.
Mel C. She's the best. Anyway.
You know, Ginger Spice was originally Sexy Spice.
Yes,
What?
I remember that. I remember when she was
Yeah.
Sexy Spice.
Was she?
Yeah.
For the first little while, then they realized they were appealing to kids. And
Okay.
Yeah, I got the question. I got the question. Would you rather be a famous artist or a famous scientist?
Ooh.
Well, you could
answer
You
first.
gotta answer first.
For me,
Yeah.
I would love to be a famous scientist. I'd love to have that kind of a brain. I've
Like
always been
who's a
fascinated when I
famous
talk to-
scientist? Like
When I talk to people who have science brains, I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
But then they look at me and go, how do you get on stage in front of all those people? So, scientist for me.
scientist.
Cool.
What?
You want to be a
What about
scientist
you?
or an
What would I
artist?
rather be?
Yeah. Famous scientist like Oppenheimer. Like imagine you killed all those people.
Imagine the burden, right? No, not science. Lives are in my hands.
Yeah, but art. Think of the burden of being an artist too.
I'm going art.
Going
yeah.
art.
Yeah.
Okay.
Staying with what's familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, famous artists would be cool.
Yeah.
I'm going scientist, just where I can make the most damage.
What else you got to break the tie?
All right. Well, I'll tell you what.
You'd be like the Green Goblin
chair.
scientist.
Listen here, kids.
This is going to sound like a name drop and a humble brag.
Because it is.
Yeah. But I mean, when it comes to name dropping, I'm always reminded by what the Dalai Lama told me. And he says, it's impolite to name drop. I was interviewing.
Direct
Direct
there.
quote.
Yeah. I was interviewing Robert Herjavec from Dragon's Den. And I asked him a question about what he did as a business person. And I said, how much of what you do is art and how much of what you do is science? And he said to me, that's the best question I've ever been asked.
Wow.
Because science is the technique of what we do, right? That science is the technique of knowing how a microphone works and where to set it up and how to, raise the levels on your soundboard and so
Right.
forth and how to set up a studio and so forth. The art is how you choose to do it. And so that's, I think about somebody like a Neil deGrasse Tyson who has all this scientific knowledge, but he understands the art of getting it across in a popular form, right? So that's what I kind of admire about people like that. So whenever I'm thinking about how we choose to go about our lives, the science is the technique of what we do, but the art is how we choose to do it and how we care to do it better.
So pick one.
So you're not going to break the
So
tie.
he's saying both. He's picking both.
I think I think there's more money in art if you're really good at art.
Yeah.
Science, you
top out.
There's a certain.
Well-
It's all about money for you, Russ.
Absolutely.
And if you
yes,
get too
yes.
good, people
You
start
heard it here
suing
first.
you.
VOCM's in it for the money.
Yes.
The money.
And we don't like children singing.
And we don't like children singing.
For
At
Christmas.
Boy, it's a good thing I'm going to condense this episode down to 45 seconds because it's going to be a lot of hot takes for the TikTokers, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been nice working at VOCM for the last year. And
I always get these.
You want a new one?
Oh, you're
Put it
allowed
back.
to
Don't
pick
say
a
it,
new
though.
one.
Put it-
This one's
That's what you told
stupid.
us.
That one's dumb.
I'm usually the one who picks new ones.
Who wrote them?
I'm a
You
princess.
did.
No, I just print them off the internet.
Oh, that one's stupid too.
That's all.
All right, fine.
there
I'll
are,
do this one.
there are no stupid questions. There are only stupid answers.
This is true. All right, winter or summer? Obviously summer.
Obviously, summer.
Summer.
Anyone winter?
What is it?
It's winter or summer?
Summer.
Oh my God, summer.
Yeah, I know.
Who's going to say winter?
Summer.
Winter in Florida.
Yeah.
Not this year.
Heat and light.
Yeah.
Not darkness.
Sunshine.
Best winters I ever had were in northern BC.
Yeah.
Because
Like-
it was a rainforest and you didn't get much snow.
Yeah, I lived up there, the BC rainforest for a while too. It was pretty nice
Today
winters.
is a nice winter night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
we've had kind of a
Beautiful.
BC winter this year.
Yeah, we
I
have.
agree.
You know,
Rain.
because
Maybe that's what's happening.
Prince Rupert's the fourth rainiest place on Earth, but it's not like it rains constantly, like it pierces your soul kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Like
It's lot-
here.
like lots of days of drizzle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I lived there for 5 years, and after 2 years, I would say to people, in Prince Rupert, it rains more than you can possibly imagine, but not as much as you think.
I lived in Ucluelet where one winter it rained like from September until like January.
You lived in Yuki.
That's
where you were.
That's where I was.
Nice.
I have a question for you guys to ask one of our politicians the next time they're on with you.
Okay.
When is somebody going to stop putting the clocks back?
I know.
I know.
When is that going to stop? The darkness is brutal.
I thought this year would be the year.
I thought it
Please
was.
save us.
I think this is last
I know
year.
a lot of people.
Please save us.
Yep.
Stuff
Although I
It's an
love
odd thing
double.
because it's a whole North American thing, right? It's not just basically
Saskatchewan doesn't do it, Russ.
Saskatchewan
No, they
doesn't.
don't.
Parts of BC doesn't do it.
Yeah.
But
Let's be like
Did
that.
the state
but their
stop
times
it?
do
St. Pierre
change,
doesn't do it.
right? Their times do change.
Oh.
Like Saskatchewan spends some of the year in the central time zone, and then they spend some of the year in the mountain time zone, right?
That sounds confusing.
Exactly, right? So
Bring back double daylight saving.
so for part of the year, they're on the same time zone with Winnipeg,
Okay.
and then for part of the year, they're on the same time zone with Calgary. That's confusing.
That is a lot.
And there's a couple of little slivers of BC that are the same way. But basically, you know, we've all okay, who remembers double daylight
Yes.
saving?
Loved it.
Loved it,
I loved
loved
it.
So
Daylight savings.
weird.
So we've got
Emily,
Oh, I
don't
think it
go
was
down
two.
the road, but then we got to choose.
Yeah.
Do we go with daylight saving time or do we go with standard time?
Oh, God.
Right? So there's it's a little more complicated than that, but you're
it's
right.
So was it like
It'd be
two?
nice if we got rid of
I'm
it.
gonna get
Darkness is brutal.
Okay,
When that darkness comes for 3 months, it's so bad.
for
Yeah.
anybody that doesn't know,
Yes.
what was double daylight saving?
2 hours, Emily. 2.
Oh my
Two.
God.
Darkness at
really?
11 o'clock at night.
It was
Like daylight saving,
Midnight.
but double.
It was deadly.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was during
11 o'clock at night, I'd be like, Mom,
Deadly.
where's Dad? He's on the golf course, honey.
It went for 2 years. It was during the Clyde Wells regime.
Didn't that when we had is that when we had the big greenhouse too?
Yes,
Yeah.
bro.
No, that's Brian Peckford. That
that
was
was
10 years before.
Yes, it was earlier. You're right.
But
Yeah.
during Clyde Wells'
No.
run, he decided to have the double daylight savings.
It was
So we-
Clyde Wells.
Clyde Wells.
No, it was
regime.
before
Clyde
that.
lied. I remember.
I promise.
What year?
Clyde lied.
90s.
I was under 10.
No,
No,
it was in the
no,
90s. I
no,
promise.
No, let's look it up.
I'm sure there's.
Well-
It was earlier than
There's a
that.
Google
It was
machine
before
somewhere.
Clyde. It was before Clyde lied.
All right.
It was way before that.
We're gonna have to put a hamper on this time discussion here. We'll be back on our time centric episode next
I don't know
week.
if I can Google fast enough.
We have
Yeah.
Dr. Manhattan here with us.
It was before. I think it was before 1990.
I got
'Cause I lived in a separate part of town, and I was in that part of town.
It's 1973.
What?
No,
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 double
it's-
daylights.
No.
What?
Double daylight
daylight.
saving.
Oh, double daylight.
double daylight
Double-
savings,
that's
not
what it
just
says.
single daylight
That's what
savings.
it said.
I'm thinking it's the year you met Damian
Search.
Follett.
Double daylight savings.
There's a very
think it's
specific reason
89.
why I remember it the way.
Same
it is,
here.
but it involves Morningside on CBC Radio.
And for me,
And we got that answer.
Is it 82?
that was later than 82.
They're giving
All right,
me
we're gonna
lots of answers
we're gonna
here.
we're gonna move on from the daylight savings.
Shouldn't even talk about it. Shouldn't even talk about it.
I got the last question here, which is another stupid one. It's probably one you sent
The
back.
one I put back. isn't
Pool or
it?
ocean?
No, but the
Oh.
other one was just.
Which is such a stupid question because why anyone would ever go in the ocean is beyond me. I don't go near the ocean.
No.
I don't like the ocean. I went doing that thing in the board where you stand in the surfboard and use the paddle. I did that once because someone told me, you won't fall in the water. I was so confident I had my friggin' phone in my pocket.
Oh, no.
I fell in the harbor in Vancouver and got the water in my mouth.
Oh, gross.
So, no thank you to the ocean.
1988.
89, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, 88, 89. And from April 3rd to October 30th.
Wow.
Wow.
Bring that
And
back.
It only happened for
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah. And then we had too much fun. So they said, no more of that.
Or
Party poopers.
Wow.
strange. It was dark going to
They said
school.
put them in
the morning.
darkness.
Put them in darkness, and we were.
Yep.
Keep them in the dark.
All right, guys.
Bizarre.
That's about all the time we have tonight. Gerri Lynn Mackey and Russell Bowers, thank you so much for joining us. You got anything you'd like to plug?
We're on the radio from 6 to 9 a.m. every morning, Monday to Friday. And we have had such a good time over the last year. I never knew Gerri Lynn before I came to VOCM.
Amazing.
Year.
Wow.
We had
You
never
didn't
crossed
even know
paths. No.
Amazing.
And
When we met.
Yeah. And so, honestly, she feels like someone I've known my entire life.
I feel the same way about you.
Nice.
And so I always compare it to Sonny and Cher. Like, we kind of have, she has many strengths.
Thanks.
I have one or two. So we kind of,
Skiing's not one of them, right?
no. And we kind of, we kind of just, it's not a copy of each other kind of thing. So she has her things that she's amazing at. I have things that I'm tolerable doing. So it works out.
You know a
And
lot of words.
I know a couple.
A lot.
Yeah.
You guys work
Big
well together.
vocabulary.
You do work well together.
Anyway, we're just
I'm
having
so
fun.
happy to
And
have you.
I hope everyone has fun when they're listening.
Amazing.
Love it.
All right. And thanks to Damian Follett for performing. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We got something here for all you guys. We'll get you to sign this after, and we'll put it on the autograph wall. And then here's your crew, your guest gift. This is the new zine, hot off the presses from the Zine Fest this weekend.
Oh,
it's volume 3
Our fate for the
of my zine of scenes from my high school agenda in 1996.
Nice.
That one contains pictures that I took in 1995. There's many pictures of Gerri Lynn in my agenda.
Yeah. We've known each other for a while. I
Yeah.
told him that we owned a bird together.
We did. His name was Bird. He was a dick.
And you went to his grad, right? Was that? No, was that another guest? We had another guest.
Yeah,
that was
Julie
your
went to the grad.
Julie, right. I had you
Damian,
guys mixed up.
aren't you happy that most of the things you did stupid in this life happened before the internet?
No evidence.
This is gorgeous.
This one's
Brilliant, yeah.
This one features pictures I took in 1995 when I skipped school and went to the mall with a disposable camera and told people I worked for the Telegram and took pictures of them working.
Excellent.
Because why wouldn't I?
Free will. It's a good use of free will.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us.
The smiles. They're like, hey, I'm going to be in the
I'm gonna
paper.
do the paper. Big thank you to the Resource Center for the Arts at Yale's Pugh Hall for sponsoring this week's episode. If you would like to sponsor the Hulk Caesar Show and help us keep the lights on, we have packages as low as $100 a month.
Yeah.
We really need your help, so you can reach out at info@hulkshow.com. Emily, you got anything you'd like to plug?
I mean, not really at this moment. Booking weddings for 2026. If you want to get your hair and makeup done, Lighthouse Beauty, Lite House Beauty. On
Amazing.
Instagram, yeah.
All right. Well, next week we'll be joined by local band With Violet. They're going to sit down with us for a chat, and they're also going to perform a set for us live in our studio. It's going to be a lot of fun.
They're
excited.
very good.
Yes. Sarah's in the band. Sarah Newell, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be a fun
She
time.
works with VOCM Cares. More VOCM
More
coming in.
VOCM
Love
coming in.
it.
And Greg Smith would like to be a guest someday as
Oh,
well.
we would like to get
Just
Greg
putting
Smith
it out
as
there.
well. Excellent. All right, we're going to go after him next.
Deal.
All right. Well,
One of the Ennis sisters really likes him.
oh, maybe we should get him and the Ennis sisters.
You're going to get him in trouble.
That's going on the soundboard too.
Love it.
What's that?
When is the show on?
We're just going to be any day.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, for Russell and Gerri Lynn, Damian, Emily, and myself, I'm the Hulkster. Thanks for watching the Hulk Caesar Show. We're done.
Peace out.